Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. Just a quick reminder, after the event, the presentation ends, there's some beer benches to the ground floor if you'd like to have a little Oktoberfest feeling. So grab yourself a beer in the snack bar and network and exchange your ideas. So let's get on with the remainder of the afternoon. So let's welcome Jozsef Ottucsák to the floor. Jozsef, please.
Oh, crap. That was unexpected. Yeah. Is that button over there? Yep. Great. Thanks for the help. So, how to kickstart your security program? Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming here. I know it's really close to lunch, so you could be spending your day outside drinking beers, and I would totally understand that. So, thanks for joining. So who am I? I'm Jozsef. I'm Fuzzyboxes on Twitter, Discord, wherever you can find me if you want to ask questions. I'm not sure whether we have time to answer all your questions right now. About me, I've been working in security in almost 9 years now, 10 plus years in tech overall. I started out as a developer. I did some penetration testing, didn't really enjoy that. I much prefer working with code and software overall. Then I pivoted into leading security programs, especially around application security. So application security is one of my pet peeves, especially when it comes to security tooling, security champion programs, security architecture, that type of stuff. One of my hobbies is gathering certifications, so you can see that I have OSCP, CCSK, MAPT, SCPPT. I'm an ISO 27K1 lead auditor, and I'm probably the only person in Hungary who renews their certified ethical hacker certification. So, yeah. One more fun fact about me. I worked for Logmein, who is now called GoTo. I worked for TrueMotion, who is now called CMT. I worked for Project Consulting, who are now called TR Consult, who have been acquired by 4IG. So if you have a startup and you want to get acquired, then you should hire me, and I will guarantee you that you will get acquired really soon. So I would like to warn everyone that this is not a technical talk at all, which is kind of surprising at Hacktivity. You can expect some sarcasm, bad humor, really opinionated exaggerations about the industry. I've been working for quite some time, and I have seen some really bad examples. I still have some NDAs, so I'm not gonna point fingers, but yeah, I've seen some shit. What I'm going to talk about is the first 90 days of taking over a security program, lessons learned, how we usually run security programs, what are common pitfalls in implementation, talking to people, how to mess up some things, and hopefully one of my major points will be how not to be the most hated person at your job. When I started coming to Hacktivity, it was all about developers suck, developers don't know anything, that type of talk. I really try to change and pivot that type of behavior because it's really toxic, and yeah, developers make really awesome stuff that I wouldn't be able to do if I were a developer. So yeah. Why we are talking about this? This is really important. So starting a security program can be hard. I know that there are plenty of resources like frameworks, regulations, compliance, blah, blah, blah. But you don't really have like a path that you can follow, and at the end of the day, thank you, you will be secure. You will know what to do. Just present this to the board and you'll be happy. What we need to do as an industry is come together and share more about what's going on. What usually happens is that if you have been in the industry for some time now, you will have friends. You will have friends who worked with you. You will have friends who left the company, joined other companies. They are now working there. They see what they mess up. They don't share that unless you have like some private chat rooms where you discuss all the breaches and whatnot. So the lessons learned are usually not shared among people. And one more thing is that I really see in the industry is that security often doesn't understand business. There is like a disconnect between security practitioners, managers, CISOs, that type of stuff. So I think what we need to do is just try to understand, try to help the business instead of blocking all the time. So when it comes to security teams, this is usually how they see us. We are like not the most friendly people in an organization, just the same as lawyers, same as compliance folks. Yes. And we need to make sure that we are doing the right things, that people can talk to us, they can come forward, approach us, and tell us what's going on when it comes to the security of their product, of their infrastructure, or just business processes overall. So what we usually do as a security team is we monitor and protect company assets. That can be documents, that can be applications, that can be infrastructure, that can be any type of information, basically. And how we do it is usually we create security policies, documentation, we build up security tooling, we make sure that we manage the technical risk, and we try to evangelize security downstream and upstream. So we try to make security easy to achieve, kind of like a not threatening way of doing things. So if you're constantly harassing people to implement stuff, then your approach is wrong. Also, we need to support sales and growth. So that's one way to change the whole security as a cost center to security who enables sales and makes deals happen. So that's one thing where you can really, really change the whole image of security, because sales is celebrated all the time. They close a big deal, and once they close a big deal, you want to be there. You want to be the person who sales shouts out that, okay, security made this happen. They wrote a really cool white paper. They filled out that security questionnaire, took some time with that. So you want to be there. You should be the person who they run to when they have a problem, and even if you're super busy, just make sure, let them know that what's a realistic deadline and when they can talk to you, and prioritize sales and growth first. So why are usually security people hired? So one thing is your predecessor left the company. This can be a good thing or a bad thing. It's usually not a good thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have left the company. So they either don't pay enough, or they chose a different path, or your manager will be a not so friendly person. Company suddenly cares about the security of your data. Let's be honest, that's not happening anytime soon. Risk became too big to handle without security controls. This is totally realistic. I have seen it in person, where just the sheer amount of data, the sensitivity of the data become too big to handle without security engineers, so they hire a security team. Company needs compliance for business. This is also a relatively straightforward thing for a B2B startup. And the other reason is that someone messed up big time. So think about hacks, breaches, internal conflicts, incidents, that type of scenarios. And we have a couple of typical companies that I would like to introduce here. So startups, you can expect to be the first security hire here. They go fast, they break things, they spare no expense except on security. Product comes first, security, like whenever. Your role will be basically just trying not to get in the way and save themselves from shooting themselves in the foot. Just try to prevent architectural mistakes, things that can become problematic later on. And your job will basically be spending catch up with devs and POs, because they will push like 3 release every day without any kind of security oversight. Your job will be to just try to shift left and try to get as close to the source so that you can catch the nasty things. Maybe build some security tooling into the pipeline so that you can catch it first, establish the right standards while the company is still small and you don't have to fight with 500 developers. With mid-sized companies, they might already have some kind of security control, existing program. They have smaller budgets than big companies, but the scope can be just as big. You can expect a lot of legacy here. It can be nasty. And one thing that I would like to point out here is that really a lot of things depend on the company culture and the management support. So if you take one takeaway from this talk is that you should never go anywhere where you don't have the right culture or the right support, because you will end up quitting in 3 months. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. And big companies, yeah, they should already have some kind of security program, but you won't enjoy this. Things takes ages to fix because of bureaucracy. There's more legacy stuff than you could ever imagine, like, yeah, there is a lot of KTLO product that companies sell and they don't really do any kind of security there. It's just a show off. One problem is that responsibilities might be quite unclear. You know, as the size of the organization grows, assets creep up left and right. I have not worked in I have not worked in a company that didn't reorganize itself every 2 years. So all of these changes basically boil down to responsibility shifts where things disappear. They don't end up on the radar of any kind of team, so you will end up with things that don't really belong anywhere, and you have to catch up with, find the owner, and maybe the owner left the company 3 years ago, or just switched roles and will ignore all of your emails. And you will also expect to find a lot of skeletons in the closet, so that is something that you should expect. And so let's say that you have been hired as a security engineer or security decision maker. Now you get the lay of the land, understand how the organization works. So one thing that you should do, this should be the first thing that you do, is prepare for the worst. I have a friend who didn't even finish his onboarding, and he has been pulled into a security incident on his 2nd week. Yeah, so you need to make sure that you know who to escalate to, who to turn to if problems arises, because you might be pulled into a security incident on your first day. I know a CIO who ended up getting pulled into a really severe security incident on his first day. Like, imagine joining a company and then they announce that, okay, we have been breached. Please come into the boardroom and let's discuss what should we do. You don't know anybody. You don't want to be in that situation. One thing that you should do when you're there is that understand why you have been hired, because your priorities should be aligned with business. This basically boils down to a single fact that companies don't hire people to build a dream security team. Like, that's our dream. Business doesn't work that way. They need you to provide some kind of value. So, and they expect something. If they don't expect something, then that's really shady, and you should be really careful with that. I once tried to join a company, and they didn't tell me what the expectations were. So, at the end of the interview, we decided that this wasn't a good fit. And I was really anxious because they didn't say why they needed a security engineer. So they were like, yeah, I don't know. We think it's the right time to have a security engineer. And then they ended up hiring a friend of my friend. So I heard back a couple months later, and basically they hired like an entry-level guy, couple of years of experience, and they expected him to roll out a compliance program, build up like a really big security program because they wanted to break into business to business from business to consumer. So you might be ready for that, but you should know it before you join a company or expect that some things might change. So one thing that you should expect is that when you join a company and you are the first security hire, or everyone is just like less experienced than you, that you will be the smartest person in the room when it comes to security. This might not be true. So you might have a boss who has been a CISO for, I don't know, 13 years. And, but that's not his job. So you were hired to make security decisions, you were hired to build up a security program, so he or she will probably not try to push you too much. If yes, then you should look for a different job, because we are honestly not hired to be micromanaged unless that's your thing. So the other thing is that you should always do your homework. Don't accept anything at face value. I have seen a lot of companies communicate, oh, we're really good at security. We have static code analysis rolled out on all of the products. We have 100 security champions. And when you go in, look at that, yeah, half of them left the company like 3 months ago. And the other half doesn't even belong to that same team. And yeah, we have static code analysis, but no one looks at it, and most of the builds just ignore that steps, and they fail, so that doesn't even matter. I mean, it looks good on compliance, but if they ask for an evidence, then you're pretty much messed up. And one thing that you should do is ask for a 30, 60, 90-day plan, so just that you can know what they expect from you and what are the outcomes of you being there, because you don't want to be fired because of some miscommunication between you and your manager that, okay, you didn't provide any of the outcomes that we expected you to do. Like, you didn't even give me an expectation, so what the hell? So once you're basically at the company, you should become familiar with all of the written resources that are there. So you need to understand the organization structure, the culture, the products, the services. What I usually like to do is when I join a new company is that I go in, I read all of the wiki pages, all the documentation, all of the policies. I dig deep in Slack, I search for security incident, search for breach, just common type of security related keywords, and I try to read everything. So, and this has happened so many times that they try to explain me something and I already know it, and I already know that what they are trying to explain it to me is not even going that way, because the real world is so much different. And the other really awesome thing is Jira. So Jira has like a lot of history. You can see the history of the product, that you can see all of the security bugs, all of the vulnerabilities, and people who work there, they forget about it. So when you bring up some 3-year-old Jira tickets that have a critical security bug and you show it to them like, okay, what's happened to this? And they're like, they don't know. And that's a really easy way to get the lay of the land and understand basically the threat landscape that comes to a company. And a really good thing to do is to make friends, understand their pain points. Like some people just want to be listened to. Like they will tell you about all the problems that they faced with security, and you should understand their level of influence. So you want to keep them. So they're basically your customers, and you want to keep them happy, especially your powerful customers, because they can make or break your career at that particular company. So if somebody comes to you that they need, I don't know, resources to do X, Y, and Z, and you say that, okay, but I don't have the budget to do that. And I know that this is really important for you. So if you could help me out, talk to finance that you need this, and just give them a little nudge, then that can be a really powerful tool among your assets. And one thing is to don't be afraid of asking questions. Don't join a company that discourages asking questions. Questions are good. I have seen a lot of companies where there will, you try to understand one thing. The documentation said something. In real life, it was implemented differently. And in code, it was also implemented differently because some upstream dependency overrode that thing and it didn't even work that way. So if you ask questions, then you will get a better picture of what's going on in real life. And compliance matters. It's something that we tend to ignore if you've come from a practical security background where, yeah, compliance, it's just checking Excel spreadsheets and whatever. But those things matter. Contractual and legal obligations can make or break a company. This is a baseline. Once business signs something, they should treat it as the bare minimum. And non-compliance can lead to a lot of pain later on. So it can lead to penalties, damages that you have to pay for the government. It can lead to lost businesses, and a lot of discomfort from your end if you need to gather evidence that you know doesn't exist, or you only have the exact opposite as an evidence. Like, yeah, we are running static security testing, and the static security testing tool have been offline for 6 months. Like, how can you forge that evidence? That's a question. And you need to do it early. Like, this is like a really powerful tool in your arsenal, where if you come up with a requirement matrix, you document what you need to be compliant with. Like, okay, we need to run static security testing, you need to run dynamic security testing, we need to do software composition analysis, we have like X, Y, and Z as a patch management criteria. Then you can define that and just build your policies upon that. And if they ask, why did you do this? Because we need to be compliant with X, Y, and Z. So, and you signed the deal, you agreed to it. So it's not like something that's flexible, we must do it. And when you start mapping out gaps, so you come to a company, you understand the compliance requirements, you understand like how the company is built up. Now you want to understand what are the security gaps because you were hired to fix them or just get that technical risk to an acceptable level. And there are a couple of common methods to find problems. You will probably do a mixture of these because you can't really realistically expect to find everything with only using one of these techniques. Security frameworks is one common way to do it. So just look at the ISO 27001 technical controls, or the NIST framework, or just a security maturity model, and start to map, okay, we are at this point, our peers are at this point, so we should probably get somewhere in the same ballpark. And if they do any kind of like compliance program, then they should have a risk register and it should be updated. You will find some gems there that haven't been addressed in a really long time, and that's always the good idea to take a look at that and try to build upon that. And you can say it's a big thing that, okay, this has been on the risk register for 4 consecutive years, and I fixed it during my first 3 months there. So that's a quick win. Third-party audits can be expensive, and I'm not a huge fan of them because you can't realistically expect someone to come in, spend 2 days there. People gonna lie. That's a really common thing that I have seen, is that people lie to auditors all the time because they kind of expect them to be lied to. Threat modeling is really good, but you need to approach it the right way. People don't like to be blamed. They don't like to be the person who introduced that bug. They don't like to be the person who needs to fix that bug. So when I try to do threat modeling, I always try to approach it like, okay guys, we are just mapping out the security problems. You don't need to fix it if business doesn't want you to fix it. We're not gonna point fingers, okay, you introduced this bug, so you need to fix it. I just try to gather as much amount of information as I can and basically synthesize it to some kind of actionable plan. And security tooling can also be helpful here. If you're running WordPress, just run a VP scan on your corporate website and expect to find unhappiness there and sadness. And this can take quite some time. If you're doing a thorough approach, like you're doing a lot of these activities, then you will see that this can take from a couple of days to a couple of months even, and you will not find anything, that's for sure. And once you have that mapped out, you need to put together an action plan. And one thing that you will never have is enough resources. So you need to focus on things that are either high risk, they amplify your impact, or are easy or cheap to fix. So high risk means that if you don't do this, the company will get breached in a month, a year, a decade, whatever. It's a high risk item, critical risk item, so you need to do it right away. Amplify your impact in this case means that if you do that thing in your list, then you will have more time to do other things. So it frees up your time. You can do more activities that are helpful in the long-term road. And easy, cheap to fix is that those tasks that are like relatively painless, you can do it in a couple of hours and basically look good. So that's like fixing the cipher suits and TLS configuration of your company website. One thing that basically eats up all of your time is recurring tasks. So every security team has KTLO work, and these small things basically eat up all of your time and limit the amount of meaningful work that you can put out. So you need to make sure that there isn't too much time that you like put on your backlog, and otherwise you will be doing constant firefighting and you won't be able to do anything meaningful that you were hired to. What's a really good way for me is to delegate things to other teams. Like if they expect you to patch the company assets as a security team, then I would run from that company. Like other people know the infrastructure much better. That's their primary focus, so they should be patching that, unless you're that type of organization where the security engineers are also coders and unicorns and whatever. But good luck hiring people to that team. It's really hard. We tried that. And outsourcing. So if you do vulnerability management as an outsourced service, that can also take some pain away from your shoulders, and you can automate some of the things. Just be careful that automation doesn't come cheap. So if you try to automate something, then you need to keep that up and running. So if you build a tool, that tool will have vulnerabilities. You will need to fix those vulnerabilities. The service will go down. You need to restore that service. If compliance expects you to have evidence for monthly scans and your service goes down regularly, then you will quickly end up just maintaining that for a really, really long time. So yeah, rolling out and maintaining this can be an operational nightmare. And hosting your tools is just one thing that I personally don't really prefer. We have tried it with vendor managed tools, with open source tools. Like they don't really work unless you're that type of team, or you're like put into a team that does this as a living, like it's your primary focus. So when it comes to tooling, my advice is that just only implement it if it saves you time and resources. So you don't need to implement a vulnerability scanner if it doesn't spark joy. You should only implement something if it improves security in a meaningful way or is required for sales and compliance. But then again, you should look at tools that are painless to keep running. And one thing that's really easy is to repurpose and piggyback non-security tools. So if you have like a CI/CD pipeline, you have linters, cloud platforms, MDMs, those have security tools baked in. And what you should do is just ask permissions to access the security part of that tool and use it for security. It's also really good because people know how to use it, and it's less friction than introducing something new, like asking people to log into a new service and expecting them to, okay, now you have to click on that button in Okta after every commit, look at what the outcome of that security scan is, and take action based on that. That introduces friction, and people don't like friction. And something that you should also do is reporting. So reporting serves two purposes. One is to just show to management that, okay, we have been this secure so far, and we are right here or right here, and what we expect to do to improve that score. Or say that, okay, we have been keeping this and we have been decreasing the overall risk level by like minus X amount of vulnerabilities per month. And if you expect us to look at that other product that you're trying to bring into the company, we need to hire, I don't know, another person to do that job. You can also recognize common outstanding issues and patterns. Like if you see that the company really struggles with cross-site scripting, then you should probably do a training on cross-site scripting and make sure that everyone attends that training. This can be used to just fix like patterns, like toxic patterns that occur within the company. And they just show you a really easy way to improve your foundations. And I've fallen into this trap before. Always try to make reports that are useful both to you and to leadership, because otherwise you will be doing twice as much work, which basically leads to pain and friction again. So creating an action plan. So what you need to do is understand your assets, your risk, and your security maturity, and build something upon that, like a short-term action plan. And why you need to understand your assets is that those are the things that you are trying to protect. You know the risks, like what's the risk of breaching that very important asset in your company, and you understand your security maturity, like how do we protect that very valuable asset. And you need to come up with short plans, like okay, we have really, really crappy firewalls on our, I don't know, production data center. Then your first thing would be to fix that. throw big things that like take ages to implement on the backlog, and try to break it down to smaller pieces, because that way you can break it down and make it more friendly for your overall workload. And you don't get lost in the details because you've already broken it down to smaller chunks. And you should build up the foundations before doing any of the flashy stuff. So you don't need the blockchain, you don't need the AI, you don't need all those fancy cloud thingies if you haven't implemented a centralized identity solution. So if your people are still logging in with shared credentials, then you really don't need to do a lot to make that more secure. And one more thing is that you don't need to be afraid to revisit and change this later. It's perfectly fine to change that action plan later on. And just to summarize some of this stuff, here is the 30, 60, 90-day example, so that if you happen to join a company and you don't have a 30, 60, 90 day, then you will know, like you will have some kind of boilerplate that you can look at. So it's just basically the same thing that we have went through, like understanding the company, meeting key stakeholders and teams, understanding the regulatory and contractual obligations, mapping out gaps, coming up with short-term goals and long-term improvements. And we are almost there, so keep on. So how to become that security guy? If you have read the Phoenix project, John, the CISO, is like a really great example of that guy that we don't want to become. So I have seen this behavior a lot with the CISOs. So don't throw your weight around. This is really like this macho, alpha, toxic masculine bullshit where you come to a company and you're like, we need to fix that yesterday. Why weren't you doing this? Don't do that. That's awkward and creepy. Don't think that you are smarter than everyone. This is really, really that God complex where you think that just because you are an expert on your field, which is relatively niche field, then you are smarter than everyone else. You're not. Other people are smarter than you. That's just a fact. Don't try to change everything on your first day. That's also something that I've seen where somebody, a new CISO comes on board and they need to revamp everything. They need to flip everything. They need to, okay, from tomorrow we are using Qualys instead of Nessus. Tomorrow we are going to use, I don't know. And just because they are familiar with that, they understand that, they fear the new things. And don't be a security absolutist. So please don't do that. We are not here to make perfect security. We're here to make good enough security that is appropriate to the level of risk that we are facing. And don't buy that super expensive AI blockchain crap. Like train your people up. Do that instead of like wasting money on a lot of vendor shit. Recommended materials. So here are some things that I really enjoyed during my career. The Phoenix project, that's a classic. Agile application security is, even if you are not into application security, but if you work with software companies, this is a must read. Startup Secure is like a really, really high level. This is not even for security people, it's for business people, but it kind of gets you at the same mentality that others will expect you to communicate with. And the Defense in Depth / CISO series podcast is another really great podcast that you should listen to. They just invite CISOs from other big companies like LinkedIn, those type of stuff. And they talk about really interesting security topics. And if you become a security decision maker, then project management will be a must. So knowing how to manage projects, what are the common pitfalls of security projects or other projects. The Google project management course, I found it really, really good. It's a practical course, which is like mind-blowing. Like it's kind of like the OSCP for project management. You will need to draft up project management documents, and this is a much better way of learning this really boring subject. So yeah, I can recommend it a lot. And like a really short summarization of everything. Like, be humble. Security is only one part of the business. You need to be like in sync with all of the other parts of the business. Try to make friends instead of enemies. Do a few things, do them well enough. Don't try to do everything perfectly. Don't boil the ocean. Don't do like really, really flashy stuff that you will not finish because it will bite you in the ass later on. And I think we ran out of time. And so no questions. And if you have any, just there's a Discord, and you can just ask questions there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jozsef, for that clear, logical presentation, full of meaningful advice. Thank you.